In this video, I'm going to talk about why your 401k is not a retirement plan. So make sure you stick around for the whole video because I'm planning to shock your world with some revelation about your 401k and why it's not a retirement plan. So what is a 401k? A 401k is a tax-deferred savings account, meaning that you can contribute money pre-tax before you pay taxes on your income tax, on your paycheck, and then contribute that to that savings account. Also, the interest or any gains that you make within that 401k account are also tax deferred until you retire. Sometimes employers decide to match contribution with their employees. So this is a very good thing. So if you put $1,000 in your 401k and your employer does 100% matching, I mean, you basically double your money kind of in a way with your 401k. So that seems like a very good deal. You can also do, if you're an entrepreneur, you can also do solo 401k. As long as you don't have like many employees that are outside your family. This is really meant for the solo entrepreneur. And basically you are able at that point to make significant contribution based on your W-2. So you have to pay yourself a W-2, but then you would be able to pay employer and employee contribution and really maximizing the contribution you want to put in your 401k. So there's a lot of different things that we can talk about there. There's also the concept of Roth, and basically Roth means that this is money that you're contributing, you're not getting, it's after tax dollar, but whatever gains, dividends, interest that you're making in that Roth account is basically tax deferred as well. So that's a little difference between the Roth and the non-Roth. So keep that in mind. So now that we know what a 401k is, and now I'm going to ask you some questions that when you were actually enrolled in your 401k. So think back about that time when you were enrolled. And did anybody come to you and ask you, hey, what is your retirement plan? How much do you think you need to have at retirement, and then have a proper planning? Like actually tell you to say, well, this is how much we think you need at retirement per month, and in order to get there, and this is the age that you have and all that, then this is how much we think you need to save, and this is how much you need to save per year. Did anybody ever do this? This is your first clue that 401k is not a retirement plan. There's no planning involved. It's a savings account. Originally, the 401k was started as a supplementary way for people to save for retirement. It was part of a three-legged stool that basically included Social Security. It included pension plan, which is the corporate pension plan, also called defined benefit pension plan. So this is a very different beast than the 401k that we have today. And then there was a portion of it that the third leg of the stool was really about saving. It was about investment, saving, equity in your home. It was about any other kind of investment, and the 401k was the other component of that basically came a little bit later. So before going deeper in the 401k, I want to talk specifically about the pension plan, the corporate pension plan. A long time ago, in the last 30, 40 years, there was something called defined benefit pension plan. Still, there are some companies, mainly government entities and large employers, that offer defined benefit pension plan. And these basically are pension plan that they're true pension plan because they're looking at how much money you are going to make at retirement. And they're calculating that, and they're calculating that typically based on a formula like 2% of your final salary or average final salary multiplied by the number of years of service, and that would basically be how much you are going to make. So if I'm sitting here today, I know how much I'm making today, and I'm assuming that my salary is going to increase over time to a certain level. And then I know I'm going to be working for the company for another 20 years, 2%, 20 years. So that basically means I'm going to be at 40, I'm going to receive 40% of my salary from my defined benefit pension plan. That's not, at least I know how much I'm going to make. And this is the difference with the 401k, is the 401k is basically a savings account. You're saving money in it, but the trick is, and nobody's talking about this, is how are you going to convert that money into a monthly stream of income? So when I was working as an actuary a while back, I was basically converting these defined benefit pension plan into 401k. There was a big move. There was a lot of cancellation, or what we call winding down, of these defined benefit pension plan. And the reason for this is that the government wanted to make sure that there was some kind of inflation protection for these plans. There was all kinds of regulations. And basically, it increased the cost of these defined benefit pension plan. And this is why many employers decide to, there's a clause in their pension plan charter that says, hey, for whatever reason, the employer can decide to wind down or cancel the defined benefit pension plan and convert it into a 401k. So that's what I did every day. And basically the way it would happen is that the employer would come in, we would analyze their pension plan, we would calculate kind of like the reserve for the pension plan. Did the pension plan have enough money to fund the employee's retirement? And we would project all that, and we would say, often we would say to the employer, say, oh no, you need to, you're underwater, you need to write a check to the pension plan, and here's the amount. You need to write a check for $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. And this always came as a surprise to the employer. So they do that a few times, but eventually they get tired of having to pull $5 million out of their wallet every once in a while. So they basically say, well, let's wind this down and then convert that into a 401k. 401k for an entrepreneur, for an employer, is a lot more predictable. You know exactly how much you're going to contribute. There's no surprises that, oh, the government wants to index, have all the pensions indexed, and then all of a sudden you have your cost for the pension plan has to, be $2 million more than you expected. So none of that with these 401k plan. These are very, very predictable. So no surprises in the budget. So that was just a little bit of a history on the pension plan and why that second leg of the stool is actually kind of disappearing, or has disappeared mainly. So as an example, imagine that you're an employee, you're 45 years old, you've been working for that same company for 10 years, you're earning 100K, and you are in a corporate pension plan, a defined benefit pension plan. And then basically what you've earned at this point is that at 2% of your final salary times your numbers of years of service, which is 10, times your salary right now, you've earned about $20,000, let's say, in retirement. So this is what it's worth. It's worth that basically at 65 right now, if you look at how much you've earned and all of that, you have earned $20,000 per year at retirement. So you already know that. This is extremely interesting compared to, so let's just go through the motion. And now your employer decide that, this is, we want to wind down the pension plan, and then we're going to convert that into a 401k, and they're going to do some calculation. You get a letter from the actuary, and then they say, hey, this is how much this is worth. It's worth $131,000, and we're going to put that money into a 401k account, a corporate 401k account. So now you have $131,000. It sounds good, but do you know how much you can get for $131,000 at retirement? You're going to have to figure out, you should be figuring out, okay, how am I going to convert that money into into a stream of income, a monthly stream of income. So it's not obvious, and people kind of like just brush that away. But this is exactly why these 401ks are not a retirement plan. On one hand, with the defined benefit pension plan, you kind of had you knew that you had earned already $20,000 a year in pension benefit, and now you have money in the bank, but you don't know how much you're gonna get at retirement with that money, because it depends on a lot of factors. But this is exactly why, you know, I want to share with you that the 401k is not a retirement plan. A lot of things with that $131,000, you know, a lot of things need to happen right for you to be able to retire comfortably. This is why the you know, Wall Street and all of that, they're spending a lot of time trying to have you save more and more money. It's not really about you. They don't really care about you. They want to have your money so that they can invest and make a fee off the investment. But this is why they're talking about 10 times your salary as a savings target, or $1 million, or $2 million, or $3 million. That's what I read a couple of weeks ago. This was their new target. And these targets are very lofty and very big, and it could be a little bit overwhelming when you're looking at your salary and how much you're earning and how much time you have left. Just think that, hey, I have to save like $2 million or $1 million in order for me to retire. But even if you know if you have a savings target, it doesn't make it a retirement plan. So you have $1 million in your bank account. You know, that doesn't say that for sure you're going to be able to retire comfortably. So how did they come up with these numbers? That's $1 million target. I mean, they're looking at the three-legged stool. So they're looking at the Social Security. They're looking at some pension plan. They're looking also at 401k. And they make some assumption about your age, about your salary, about your need. They also assume that you're going to spend 20% less than you're currently spending, which is not necessarily true, you know. And they're also going to assume a certain retirement age, something that, you know, you may not know. It may be different than what they had in mind. So there's a lot of assumptions for them to come up with that savings target. So it may be under what you need. It could be much higher than what you need. And this is why you need to make a plan. You need to figure out upfront how that money is going to be used and converted into a retirement income. So let's do that. Let's just make a plan, a very simple plan. So we start, first of all, I start with my expenses. I think the expenses are kind of like the key here. Whenever you're at retirement, you're not looking to save anymore. You basically want to pay your expenses. You want to be able to travel. You want to be able to dine out and all that good stuff. You want to experience life and continue to experience life to the same level of standard that you've been accustomed to. I think it makes sense. So if your current expense level, let's say as an example, I'm going to use $9,000, add 10% on top of that, you're at about $10,000 basically per month that you want to spend. So if it's less than that, I just wanted to come up with a round number. So if your number is less than that or higher than that, just make sure that it's about really the process of going through this. So this is how much you need. Then we go back to our three-legged stool, and we're going to remove Social Security. So for Social Security, the maximum that you can get per month is like $4,000. So let's just take that out of the equation. You can go on ssa.org and then actually have that monthly figure estimated for you. So you can do that. And so you basically, if you have defined benefit pension plan, corporate pension plan, so subtract it as well, what you expect per month for that from that pension plan. And then you are basically left with, so $10,000 minus Social Security. I don't have defined benefit pension plan, so I'm left with $6,000. So I have to find a way to generate $6,000 a month in retirement income. So I don't know about you, but to me, I already feel a little bit better about kind of my target, what I need to accomplish here. And if I'm 45, I'm not 45, but in the example that we had, if you were 45 years old, that means you have another 20 years really to come up with a way to basically generate that $6,000 a month in passive income, because you're not going to retire. You're not going to be working when you're retired. So you need to figure that passive income level. So typically that $6,000 will come up from your savings. So you would have to use your savings, you would have to use your investments, you would have to use, even also look at equity on various assets, including your primary residence, and finally the 401k. So there are different strategies. We can talk about different strategies for the savings, investment, blah, 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 and equity on your primary residence. But if we're focused here on the 401k and how we're going to use that 401k to provide that passive income. So if we go back to our example, that at 45 years old, you had $131,000 that was given by your employer when they converted their pension plan. So let's say you invest that money at 4% per year, you would end up with about $300,000 at age 65 that could be used for retirement. There are a couple of things I want to point out is that this money that's in the 401k, there are a lot of constraints and rules on how you can extract the money out of that for income. So as long as you have a certain age that you have to begin extracting, if you do it too early, then you're going to end up paying penalties. If you, after a certain age, after 70 and a half, you have to have, there's a minimum required amount that must be withdrawn from the 401k. And there are other rules associated with that. There's also limitations based on the custodians, basically, how much, where you can invest. So if you're with big firms on Wall Street, then you can normally only invest in the stock market, mutual funds, bonds, all these financial kind of investment vehicle. You can't invest in real estate out of these regular 401k. An interesting fact also is that these 401k, when you withdraw the money, is basically is taxed as ordinary income, not as capital gains. So if I had taken my money out, the $131,000 out of the 401k at that point, or if I had an offer to be cashed out at that point, then I could have basically used that money and invested, and all the gains from $131,000 to $300,000 would have been taxed at a capital gains rate, which would be 15%. Now that I'm taking the money out as ordinary income out of the 401k, what happens is that now I'm taxed at a much higher bracket, potentially, depending on how much I'm making on these other items, on the overall my overall AGI, adjusted gross income on my income tax, might bring my bracket to 24 or 24%, let's say. So paying 24% instead of paying only 15% on my gains on investment. So this is a little something. You get kind of tricked, and it's not deferring taxes, but also you're paying a lot more taxes when you're withdrawing the money because you're paying ordinary income tax. So how do we extract the money out of this 401k? I mean, you could do a cash out, right? So that cash out of your 401k, you would be actually, let's say 300k. So that would bring you a 35% tax bracket if you withdrew the whole thing. And that would be a total of $80,000 in taxes that you would have to pay. But then you would have the rest of the money, the 220, that you can do what you want with it. The other method is to leave the money in the 401k and then withdraw on a regular basis, like a fixed withdrawal rate. So basically calculate your Social Security, look at what you're doing with your other investments, how much passive incomes are they generating? Do you have any rental income from rental properties that are coming in? So all these passive income, and then calculate what is left, how much you must withdraw from your 401k in order to fit that gap. So You know, we had a target of $6,000. Maybe you have some rental properties that are, you know, covering $4,000 a month, and now you have $2,000 a month that you want to withdraw from your 401k. So that would be a fixed withdrawal rate that you would do, just to bridge the gap here. Another method that a lot of people are talking about is the annuity conversion. So this is basically taking your money and putting it, giving it to a life insurance company. This is the premium you would pay in order to get a certain amount per month for that premium. So they basically guarantee a payout as long as you live, basically. So this, I don't recommend that because typically the payout from these annuities is very low. It's a good tool for accumulating before retirement, but once you hit the distribution part of it, the payout is very low. So if you have like a survivorship waiver, if you want to have inflation protection, if you want, you know, there's all kinds of different add-ons that you can do. And when you do what you need, then you end up about the payout of about 3% of the amount of money that you put in. So here, if you're converting the $300,000, you would get 3% of that. So that means you'd get $9,000 per year on that amount of money. So $9,000 per year. So this is not very high, let's just say. So these are the three main ways really of doing this. On the fixed withdrawal, I mean, you can continue to invest in your self-directed account, invest in the stock market and all of that, but that's pretty active. You want to make sure that you know what you're doing there, or dividend or stuff like that. But you just continue to invest whatever way you were investing in the 401k, and then you basically withdraw a fixed withdrawal every month. Again, annuity, I don't recommend it. Typically, if you talk to people, you're going to see that the rates, the payout rates that you get for that is not significant. And if you die soon after you start your annuity, I mean, the money is gone. There's nothing left for your legacy. So I'm not a big fan of annuity for the distribution portion. So yeah. So that's for the 401k. So as I said earlier, you know, the 401k is not a retirement plan. You need to figure out your retirement plan. If you have additional funds, you would be better off investing these funds outside of the 401k instead of putting them in a 401k. All the gains that you're going to make today on your money in investment, you're going to pay capital gains tax on that. So yeah, if you have rentals, the income that you're going to get, the cash flow that you're going to get from these are going to be offset by depreciation. So you're not going to pay much taxes on these rentals. If you have other kinds of investments, then also they would be, the worst case scenario is that they would be taxed at your ordinary income tax bracket. But if you put money in the 401k, that money, all the gains, all the interest, everything is going to be taxed when you take it out at your ordinary income tax bracket. The idea is that at retirement, your income would be lower and then you would pay less in taxes. But I'm not assuming that. I don't want to live less at retirement. I want to have a very similar kind of lifestyle, travel more and do things. So, you know, I don't expect to live less at retirement. So I don't expect my expenses to go any lower. This is why I recommend that everybody starts working on their financial freedom goal as soon as possible. And the critical component of that, in my opinion, is rental properties, turnkey rental properties. You're getting net cash flow, you're building equity, you're building appreciation, paying down your mortgage, and you can leverage a lot of tax benefits that are going to reduce your tax bill, your income tax. So it's all good from that perspective, and I think that it also helps you as you're adding to your portfolio of rental. You can see how close you're getting to your goal, if your goal is like $6,000, like our example earlier, you can see that as you add rental properties, that you're getting closer and closer to your retirement goal. And you may end up retiring early. So no matter what your decision is, make sure that you have a plan. Make sure that you start to think about how you're going to leverage that 401k money to get to your retirement income. Try to start calculating what your retirement income look like and how much you have to figure out in terms of passive income. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you learn a lot more about why 401k is not a retirement plan and why it is important for you to start planning for yourself and also to leave a legacy for your children. If you're interested in early retirement planning, real estate investing, and investing in general, make sure that you watch the rest of the videos on my channel and don't forget to subscribe.